Papaw influenced me in so many ways. He taught me what hard work really looked like and gave me an ideal to strive for in personality and in self-worth and work ethic. He instilled a lot of really good values in me at a young age. And taught me what hard work really got you and what it meant to the people around you and the people that rely on you. Taught me more than anything to be honest to people. That should never tell a lie, and just to help out anybody where you can, because you'll get it in return if you help out others.
Hello, I'm Tim Barnwell, and welcome to the Face of Appalachia. On September 25th, 2025, we lost a steady, quiet presence. Farmer, machinist, deacon, and neighbor John Kilpatrick passed away at the age of 79. For decades, John worked his land in Candler, North Carolina, not just as a living, but as a way of life, raising cattle, tending gardens, serving his community, and passing those values down to his grandson, who hopes to carry on these farming traditions. I first met John in the 1980s, and a while back we did an episode on him. We hope you'll take a moment to check that out. With John's passing, I wanted to see what the future held for the family farm. So I spent a few days with his grandson Jaxon as he shared memories of his Papaw and how he plans to honor him by carrying on his life's work. This is a story about loss and land, but also what happens when a new generation refuses to let the story end.
I'm Jaxon Hensley. I was born here, lived here in Candler my whole life. Went to Inca High School right down the road, and work on cars for a living, and I run the farm here, and I'm the grandson of John Kilpatrick, who ran this farm for his whole life. With Papaw always having old trucks and tractors and stuff, he sparked my interest in when I'd help him work on the farm equipment. When I was a young man, he gave me his old Snapper riding lawnmower, and we actually tore it apart right outside the shed here, and it hadn't ran in over 30 years. Just been sitting in the shed up next to the cattle trailer. We pulled it out and tore it down, rebuilt the carburetor and the points, and that's where I learned the old style ignition systems and stuff like that. And that just got me interested in anything with an engine. From there on out, I was tearing everything apart. Whether I knew how to put it back together or not was different, but a lot of stuff got tore apart and some of it put back together. He gave me my first cow when I was 7 so that I could start raising cattle to save up for my first car. And when I was 15, I went and bought a 77 Nova for my first car. It was a little beat up, but that really sparked my interest in cars, and it just took off from there.
Well, I'm John Kilpatrick. I was born and raised in this area here. I was raised over on what we call North Hominy. This is South Hominy community. And I come up here, graduated from high school in '64, and found my wife that was born and raised right here on this property. So we moved up here in '77, I believe it was. So that's where we've been ever since. And we've had a pretty good life up here.
So how many acres do you have here on the property now?
So here on this property, we've got 25 acres. And We own all the way up to the top of the mountain, up in the pasture. Of course, it's not all usable farmland. The cattle don't go up the mountain much, but we do have 25 acres here. And then over on the mile straight, John had 6 acres of land that he would keep cattle on also.
So do you remember when you first started kind of helping around the farm with your grandfather?
Yeah, well, as far back as I can remember, at least I thought I was helping when I was 4 or 5 years old, but mostly him just letting me ride in the bucket on the tractor or be around when he was working. But as soon as I thought I could help, I was out there throwing hay with him when I was 7 or 8, and that was an all summer kind of ordeal, getting all the hay up before the winter, and had everybody on board back then in the family. Had everybody out there pitching in, throwing hay. Of course, he had done a lot of hay back then, so many fields around Candler. He was always concerned whether he had enough or not, and he always ended up having well over what he needed because of that. But that's might as well have it and not need it, and need it not have it. He pretty much taught me all it took to raise a cow. Like I said, when I was 7, he gave me my first cow, a heifer, and that I named Violet. I ended up keeping that cow for a long time, and then selling what calves came of it. And, the first calf I got from it I named, and then we sold it. Now that's when I learned not to name them anymore, that they weren't going to be around forever. I helped him with a lot of the gardening when I was young too. Of course, I wish I'd paid more attention when it come to the gardening. When I was younger, I didn't care as much for the gardening part of it, but he had me out there helping him with it. And, the first plant that I ever grew on my own was actually strawberries. We went to one of his buddy's house and got a flat of strawberries, and he helped me plant them. And I just remember not wanting to go and pick the strawberries because it was so hot in the summer in the garden. But he'd get on to me if I didn't go out there and pick them, because he wanted those strawberries. They turned out good, but I didn't want to sit in the garden in that heat for hours, but he'd be out there all day. He loved it.
Mountain people, they was a special people to me. They really were. Of course, I guess when you were born and raised in that particular tradition, you tend to try to hold on to it. But in my situation, I just believe it's a better lifestyle. I really do.
So are you hoping to keep the garden going next spring?
Yeah, I have plans on trying to do the garden. Of course, I don't have much experience in it and not the wisdom that he had about it, but we're gonna give it a try.
Yeah. What are you thinking about growing?
I'll probably try to grow most of what he grew. Of course, he grew just about everything. So it's definitely gonna be a learning process. With he'd grow cabbage, lettuce, tomatoes, beans, okra, and strawberries, and corn. But I may slim that down a little bit just while I'm still trying to learn, and then expand it a little more next year or the year after.
When John's son-in-law Joel called to tell me that John had passed, I was deeply saddened. I'd known John for over 40 years, and I thought the world of him. He was the kind of man you don't meet very often, steady, generous, deeply rooted in his faith, land, and community. And those are the kinds of people who stay with you long after they're gone. John left behind his wife, Anne, 2 daughters, Laura and Amy, and a family that loved him deeply. And I take comfort in knowing that his grandson, Jaxon, is carrying on that farm and legacy. Even though Jaxon and I have only recently met, I already feel a real sense of connection. I'm looking forward to seeing that friendship grow, just like John would have wanted. And I know the farm is in good hands. If you believe stories like this matter, stories about family, land, and keeping those traditions alive, the simplest way you can help is by subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button. It's free, but it makes a real difference in helping us keep this work going. And if you have stories of your own grandparents about the people who shaped you, we'd love to hear them. So keep sharing your memories with us in the comments below.
I was around them a lot, and I'd hang out a lot up at their house, sit on the porch with him for hours. He loved to sit there on the porch and look out over the farm and watch the cattle. We'd just sit there and talk for hours.
I just love these mountains, and I want to stick with them as much as I can. That's one reason I really hate to see, I guess, progress come. For me, I've got to have some elbow room. I've got to get out here and sit down on the stump and watch my cattle. It's medicine for me. It's kind of like I've heard people say in the field of medicine, I guess, said that petting your dog helps your blood pressure. Well, when you get that kind of relaxation and enjoying watching the cattle and their behavior and watching your dog as he meanders around through the cattle and things like that, it just gives you an appreciation for what we've got here in Appalachia, the mountains. So I guess I've always been here. I'm 77 years old. And unless somebody takes me out of it, I'll die here in the mountains.
If I had to describe John to anybody that had never met him, I'd probably say he's the most hardworking man that you'll ever meet. And that he was honest. He's a very honest and hardworking man that really cared about everybody around him, whether or not they cared about him or not, or thought that they needed his help or anything, but he was going to be there for them and really cared about the community more than anything. And I know it saddened him over the years to see a lot of the changes in our community. People grow further apart because it was always really big to him that there was that sense of community in this area, and that people were neighborly. He was a very good neighborly man. You know, had to make sure that everybody in the area was taken care of and doing good, and if they needed anything, he'd, at the drop of a hat, be there for them.
Our community, our country's changed through the years. And personally, I don't think it's all for the good. It seems like we've lost some of our neighborly attitudes that we had. I know one old fella that I farmed his property up on Davis Creek for probably 30 years after I moved up here. And when it come tobacco working time, he'd come to help me work tobacco. Wouldn't have a cent for his labors. And we just don't see that kind of people in society anymore. And I miss it, I really do. I told somebody Saturday, they came up and got some produce out of the garden, and the lady said, "John, you're selling your product too cheap." I said, "No." I said, "I don't feel like I need to charge somebody more for anything than I would want to pay myself." And I feel like if all of us had that kind of attitude, and I'm not saying I'm a perfect example, but if all of us had that kind of attitude, I believe we'd be rid of some of the greed that we're seeing in our society today. And I think greed is one of the things that's creating problems in our society.
What I miss most about him being here is Just seeing him go around on the farm. Even when I wasn't helping him, he's always putting around the farm on the gator, always up to something, always had to get something done. And it's just been sad, you know, not seeing him around on the farm. It's just not the same without him around. And he'd always stop and come check on me, see what I was up to, whether I had a car tore apart in the yard or something like that. He was always interested in seeing what was going on or how I was doing. Always interested in how work was going for me, and just getting to see him around on the farm and just small conversations like that is probably what I'm going to miss the most.
Farmers in general live longer than the other elements of the population. I think it's just the fact there's more satisfaction in farming. Even though now, as you come up today, I had a devastating storm Thursday. It pretty much wiped my sweet corn out. But if I live next year, I'll just go again, try it again. You can't let a little bit of disappointment defeat you.
It's important to me to carry this on because I just feel a strong connection to this place and my family, and how Papaw always talked about it, that this is his life's work. He's dedicated his life to raising this farm and taking care of it, and my great-grandfather dedicated his life to taking care of this farm, and I'm sure the family before them did the same. But I just feel a strong connection to the farm here since I've grown up here, and just seen all the stuff it's been through, and all the work that we've done to make it how it is, and it just gives me a strong connection to my grandfather and his memories.